And the celebration begins third base side of the mound, the dog pile, as they jump up and down out of the dugout, out from the bullpen in right field. The Rangers celebrate. The Texas Rangers are World Series champs.
And then there were four. Yes, four teams remaining that haven't won a World Series.
Padres,
Rockies, Tampa. Who was the other one? Seattle.
Milwaukee too. There's actually, I think, five.
Yeah. And then there was five.
There's still five. We still got a little company out there.
Yes, the Rangers took care of business. The game was close until it wasn't. Rangers kind of blew the doors open on that game, and Bruce Bochy does it again. The Rangers go undefeated on the road.
Unbelievable.
To solidify their first title. Congratulations to the Texas Rangers. But as a San Diegan, to Bruce Bochy, to my good friend Chris Young, my good friend Nick Hudley, good friend Will Venable.
Yeah.
They all will have I can't wait to see what the ring looks like. And they will have
It is Texas, so it'll be twice the size of everybody else's.
Everything's bigger. But Chris, I mean, the game started out really through the midpoint, as a lot of elimination games do. Tight. Nobody's willing to give until the Rangers did their thing. That onslaught came.
Yeah, I'm finally glad we saw an actual World Series game where both starting pitchers pitched 6 innings.
Yeah.
That's like a miracle in this day and age. But, I don't know that Torey Lovullo had his best moments in this series. And he kind of felt the same way after. He said he was going to go somewhere out in the woods and suck his thumbs.
That was real emotion right there. Like he was trying to bag it up in like a smile and some laughter, but you could see the tears welding up under.
You know what? Because a team like Arizona is likely only to get one chance at this. It's not like they're going to be back. They could be back next year. They're a young team, but there's so many other great teams in the National League that they're going to have to get past. And I think Torey Lovullo looks at this as a lost opportunity. I mean, Zach Gallen was pitching his heart out, gives up 3 scratch singles. Then he leaves him in to strike out Marcus Semien, which I didn't really understand why then you would take him out. Although I know Corey Seager was coming up, but look, he went with a right-handed pitcher, Ginkel, who's been great in the postseason.
And by the way,
Ginkel did get out of that inning. So
that was your point too, right? It was the point you made before the game was the Diamondbacks have not been able to get to their good arms.
No.
And you bring in probably your best arm to face their best guy, and you get out the inning.
Yeah, but Paul Sewald had a bad World Series. He gave it up in Game 1. He gave up the 2-run homer to Seager to tie it. He gave up 4 last night, which took away any opportunity. But it all goes back to one statistic, Tony. RISP. Yeah, the statistic that will be on the tombstone of the 2023 Padres will also be on the tombstone of the World Series Diamondbacks. 0 for 9 last night. All of those opportunities came in the first 5 innings.
Yes,
they could have taken a lead at any time. Many of those opportunities had runners at third with less than 2 outs. They just could not cash in. And give Eovaldi credit. He made the pitches he had to. I mean, this guy put 9 base runners on in 6 innings. Did not allow any of them to score. And, Texas is the world champ. Bruce Bochy's unbelievable. I mean, I honestly am going to say the same thing I've been saying. When he was hired as manager of the Rangers by Chris Young, I thought, well, that's a nice thing for Chris Young to do for his old friend Bruce Bochy, get him back in there managing. But come on, nobody really thought Bochy was going to be able to, in his first year, go from 25 games under 500 to World Series champion just like that. It's the guy. We look at the Texas players and how they all come through. Jankowski coming through in Game 4, and Seager and Semien and Evan Carter coming to the big leagues and becoming an impact player in the postseason, and Mitch Garver getting only about 2 hits in the World Series, but both of them were game-winning hits. Bruce Bochy's guys just are in a position to perform their best. And that is what his magic is, Tony. I can't say exactly how it's done, but I mean, this Texas team, I mean, rookies up and down the lineup, a bullpen, that just about anybody in baseball would loathe having. And yet Bochy pushes the right buttons, and his guys perform the best in the biggest moments. And that's what they've done in every one of his World Series runs.
A lot of parallels to that first Giants team. Shame on us. If you really believe that when Chris Young hired Bruce Bochy that he wouldn't at some point get to this stage.
Yeah.
Shame on us.
So. I guess you're right.
I would say that the surprising part of it is that it did happen in the first year. Because I think when you look at this roster top to bottom, you could make an argument that this is as much talent as Bruce Bochy has really had to manage a team, right? I mean, you look at those
good team, but
you look at the Giants teams. I mean, Pablo Sandoval was probably your best player on those teams.
Yeah.
You had some good pitching and Matt Cain and Tim Lincecum, those guys at the time. But the bullpen, what I remember is that before they became World Series champs, it was a bullpen that looked a lot like the Rangers bullpen.
Sergio Romo closed out at least one of those World Series, and Madison Bumgarner had to close out another because they didn't have a closer.
Starting pitcher, right?
Yeah, so, Bochy's, look, I don't think the Giants in the 3 years that they won the World Series under Bochy were ever the best team in baseball.
Nope.
And I don't think the Rangers were the best team in baseball. But at the end, Bochy is standing atop the mountain, and, the guys, Buster Olney wrote it today. Said he's not only a Hall of Famer, but he's got to be in consideration for being the greatest manager of all time. And that is really putting him up there, going all through the years, the history of the sport. But under these circumstances, to win 4 World Series. Now, Casey Stengel and the old Yankees, they used to win the World Series every year, but they had by far the best talent, number one, and there were no playoffs.
Right.
They won the American League every year because they had by far the best team, and then they won the World Series every year. They never had to go through 3 stages of playoffs. They never had to play all of these road games. Bruce Bochy, between the Giants and the Rangers in the 4 years that he won the World Series, Tony, 29-7 on the road. Including 11-0 this year. But you're right. He did the same thing with San Francisco. Being able to win 4 World Series titles with this many levels of playoffs and not having the best team any of the 4 times, it's pretty impressive.
The thing that he excels at are really the things that you tend to need most come playoff time. And Travis Jankowski hit on it when he came here to San Diego, and I had that conversation when he was just talking about how easy it is to play for him in those roles. And so you fast forward to the end of the season, they got a bunch of injuries, a bunch of guys playing in spots, filling in for guys. And the other thing he does well, and he's done it well his entire career, is manage a bullpen. Know when the right time is to push the button to bring whoever in. And he will ride the hot arm like he did in this series. Spores, was phenomenal in this World Series run. And he brought him in some unorthodox times, and it still worked for him. It was this was just another fantastic run for Bruce Bochy and the Texas Rangers. And that argument that Buster Olney is making is certainly a fair one.
It's pretty impressive. Spores, by the way, had a 5.50 ERA during the regular season. All right.
Right.
This guy was not any kind of a good pitcher at all. But when it mattered the most, he was as close out and as stout as any pitcher in the playoffs.
And his manager had the same amount of confidence in him as if he was a guy who had a 0 ERA.
It's really incredible. And the other thing about the Rangers is, you can say when a lot of teams win a series that everything fell into place. Nothing fell into the place for the Rangers. Jacob deGrom was lost for the season, so they replaced him with Max Scherzer. He's totally ineffective, injured down the stretch, does absolutely nothing for you in the playoffs. Adolis Garcia is the best player in baseball. They take him away from Bochy with 3 games left in the World Series. It just, was on and on. Corey Seager was injured throughout the season, missed over 40 games. Nothing really went Texas's way. they also had a stretch where they lost 18 of 22 games.
They got swept here in San Diego.
They looked pitiful in San Diego. They were 4-18 in the month of August at one point, and they went from being 5 or 6 games into first place all the way to third place.
That's right.
And then they had to scramble to get into the playoffs, and then
had to go on the road.
The last day, all they have to do is win, and they blow the game, and they end up having, as you said, to go on the road to open the playoffs instead of getting a bye. Nothing went their way, and yet there he is at the very end, smiling that knowing smile. It's almost like the cat who ate the canary. It's like he knew it all along.
Right.
And he's the World Series champ. It's really something special. And I think everybody here loves Bruce Bochy, but I think around baseball he's pretty universally loved as well. Sure. Is there anybody around that thinks anything negatively about Bruce Bochy? I mean, it's not there. And it's really terrific. You just get so excited for him. And the Diamondbacks had a great run, but I think Torey Lovello understood it afterwards that the chances of them getting back here to have another opportunity, it's not nil. I mean, certainly a young team, but they're going to have to beat out the Dodgers. Hopefully they're going to have to beat out the Padres. They're going to probably have to beat out the Giants just to get into the playoffs in the next few years.
Yeah. The one thing this year has taught me is that we know nothing. So,
you're right.
At the end of the day, that team, that Diamondback team that I think at the beginning of the year, those who were paying close attention was like, okay, this young team is going to be they're going to be formidable, right? You're going to have to deal with them. Nobody thought that they would win a division or get into the playoffs, but you thought that they would start taking their steps. Well, I think they took some large steps this year, and it'll be interesting to see because a lot of times we see these teams get to the World Series and then there's a little bit of drop off the following year. We didn't see that from the two teams last year. Both Philly and Houston got close again, but this is a young team that was completely not expected to get to this point. And to Chris's point, we'll see where it goes. Skraby, what you got?
I have a comment on the stream, which, guys, I just found out that if I click this button on the stream, it shows the comment on the stream. So Brandon Wilson, I'm learning every day how to use this thing. Brandon Wilson said, just want to say Padres went undefeated against the world champs this year.
Oh, that's a nice little feature right there.
Nothing new.
The Padres probably had a good record against
Padres
a lot of
good
teams.
Against all of those teams. They just they don't get a whole lot for that, but thank you for pointing that out.
At some point at today's show, we'll have a pair of tickets to the San Diego State-Utah State game on Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. Grab tickets now at GoAztecs.com. I couldn't help but notice I had to stick around after the game was over
to see Bochy go in the pool.
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh, you're
I'm going to get to the pool part.
Yeah, all right.
But Rob Manfred.
Oh boy.
I don't know what was going on.
Corey.
He didn't sound as inebriated this time.
No.
But I think the echo was getting to him once again. You got the sound of that?
The echo or his you'll hear it.
63 years is a long time to wait, but the Texas Rangers are World Series champions.
Oh boy.
It's my distinct pleasure to present the Commissioner's Trophy to Ray Davis, Neil Liebman, and Chris Young.
Well, his voice was clearly gone. The first thing I thought of was
he sounded like me after a bunch of crackers.
Yeah, he did. The first thing I thought was, well, I'm glad he named the trophy correctly this time.
He didn't call it a piece of metal.
He didn't call it a piece of metal.
And here, everybody,
is the piece of metal.
Is your piece of metal.
But to Chris's point, just when I'm ready to move on and not, continue to pick on Arizona, I see the debacle I saw in front of the pool yesterday. Now, tradition, I must say, for teams that win in Arizona to go jump into the pool.
Celebrate.
Arizona pulled out how should I word
National
this?
Guard?
They might as well pulled out the National Guard. It was the most ridiculous move I've seen. They had about 12 security guards in right center blockading the pool so that no one would jump in it. What a Grinch of World Series celebration.
No kidding, man.
Here's the craziest part is that Diamondbacks president Derek Hall said earlier this year that any team would be allowed to celebrate a clincher in the pool. He said that earlier in the postseason. Then he said they have the right to celebrate wherever they want, however they want. But apparently
somebody didn't. Somebody disagreed with him.
There's got to be some sort of insurance, right?
No, there ain't no
like
insurance.
A player falls and hits his head.
That's just being a poor loser. That's all it is. It had nothing to do. You, the owner, right there, said at the beginning of the playoffs, it would be all good. Anybody could celebrate there, but soon as their World Series went up in the smithereens, they had the National Guard
that's too bad.
blocking the pool.
That's too bad.
Gosh.
You know who ruined this for us? The Dodgers did.
Blame the Dodgers.
But I have to think it's some sort of liability.
There's just no way it's
these
liability.
Grown men that
like
are
Bruce Bochy gets thrown in the shallow end and hits his head.
First of all, the pool is like 5 feet deep.
Exactly. You can hit your head. I did.
These dudes are
I'm
all
missing
6
hair.
feet and up. Like nobody's gonna fall and bump their head.
I'm missing hair because I've done that before.
Stop.
And I'm 6 feet tall.
Yeah. Were you in your right mind when that happened?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No surprise there.
I said, "Hey, everybody, watch me jump into the shallow pool," and then I hit my head.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're all right. We got a short show today. Titans Steelers. Here, I bet you didn't know I would remember that Thursday night.
No, we didn't think you'd remember.
Right.
Dave Velasquez will join us, San Diego State men's basketball assistant coach, in the 2:00 hour. How the Davey Gambit. We'll have a Chris versus the fans, and of course Gwynn and Chris NFL Pick'em. Let's get to break. 2:17 on the clock. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
And Kim crosses the plate.
You can listen to every Padres game along with all the music and news that San Diego needs right here on the Odyssey app. Download it today.
Looking for the best HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest rated heating and air company.
All right, underway for a Thursday, as Tony mentioned, short program today. 2:23 is the time. We'll be on till Thursday Night Football. Steelers and Titans headed your way. You can watch the program streaming on YouTube. Just search for 97.3 The Fan there, or you can watch, if you so choose, on Twitter or Facebook as well. And, of course, you can download any part of the program. Maybe you missed the Bob Melvin interview a couple of days ago. You'd like to hear it. Well, go to our website, 973thefansd.com, or download the Odyssey app. Dave Velasquez is going to be on with us in about 20 minutes. Looking forward to this, man. We're only 3 or 4 days away from San Diego State basketball's season opener, coming off a championship run in the NCAA tournament. We'll get a look-see at the Aztecs from Dave Velasquez coming up shortly. Bobby Knight's passing has everybody talking the day after the general passed at the age of 83. Skraby's still upset that we're celebrating Bobby Knight. Yeah. Based on a lot of the negativity. Can you just play that clip? Because I think that's his answer to your complaint.
I didn't know we were going to play it, so I got to go get it.
I didn't either. It just kind of came up.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about it.
All right.
Here's Skraby. Well, first, Skraby, criticize him.
I'm not going to criticize the guy, but I don't know why everybody is acting like he's the greatest human being on the face of the
I don't
earth.
think anybody's acting like that.
Well, let's hear what he has to say to you, Skraby.
I know what he has to say.
When my time on earth is gone and my activities here are past, I want they bury me upside down and my critics can kiss my
and that is why I don't know
why
we're
you
celebrating.
Don't like him.
Yeah.
There's part of me that says, wouldn't we all be so lucky to be able to live our lives and not be worried about what anybody thinks of us? Because we do spend a lot of time in that vain manner.
We do.
Worried about what we're wearing, what we're saying, what we look like, how we're acting. And maybe that is what we need, most of us, to stay on the straight and narrow. But Bob Knight, he did not care what anybody thought of him. So
no, he did not.
Yeah.
He would specifically give Skraby the business for his thoughts.
I think Skraby would be shaking in his boots too.
Oh, I would. I'm not denying that. But I'm not so mad at him, like not caring what people think, because I do think that I could use a little bit of that myself.
You certainly could.
But it's like he choked a kid. He threw chairs. He threw, and we were just watching in the break. What is the show called?
Around the Horn.
Around the Horn. And Bill Plaschke. I didn't think I was ever going to agree with Bill Plaschke, but he said Bobby Knight normalized being being an aggressive coach.
Listen, I think Bobby Knight is probably an extreme example of most human beings. Right? There's going to be a portion of people who don't like you for things that you've done, things that you may have said. There's going to be a portion of people that love you. There's going to be a portion of people who got to see the side of you that
you wouldn't want everybody else to see.
That you wouldn't want everybody else to see. There's going to be a side of you that a lot of people got to see that absolutely adore. And I think that's where Bobby Knight is. I think if you're going to have a discussion about him, the reality is there are going to be a ton of people that played for him, that knew him personally, that are going to love him. And there's going to be those who may not have gotten a chance to know him personally, but saw some of his discretions and will never feel the same way about it.
But you like to say something that I like, Tony, and what you say is all of it can be true.
Yep.
I think that's really the case with Bobby Knight. You can say that he's great.
Yep.
And you can say that he's a total jerk.
Yep.
And all of it can be true. And that's just the way Bobby Knight's going to be. I think that's how he is going to be remembered.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think there's going to be just like that Around the Horn crew we watched. We saw about half of the people have some good stories mixed in with some bad ones that still felt like overall he was good, and he had the other half that had those same stories but had the other feel at the end of it.
Now that it's all said and done, guys, do you think they're going to bury him upside down?
Like he said.
He asked for it. He asked for it. Why not? You have to do that.
Got to respect the man's wishes.
You know what I need? I need a critic of his to go kiss the casket while he's upside down. That's what I mean.
Gosh.
Hey, Bobby Knight's the one who put that in the universe. I did.
That was pretty good. All right. We have some Padre news to impart on you, not coaching wise, although Benji Gill officially has been interviewed for the managerial position if you're keeping tabs on such things. But some roster moves today. And Tucupita Marcano is back. He has been claimed off waivers from the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Padres traded Marcano to the Pirates in that Adam Frazier deal a couple of years ago. And then the following 9 players are now officially free agents. That would be G-Man Choi, Garrett Cooper, Luis Garcia, Josh Hader, Rich Hill, Drew Pomerantz, Jurickson Profar, Gary Sanchez, and Blake Snell. Although those are all officially now free agents, everybody's story is a little different, is it not, Tony? And
yeah,
it's hard for me to. This doesn't necessarily mean that all 9 guys are no longer Padres. It means they are pretty much out there and free to negotiate with whoever they wish.
Yes, the Padres, if they are wishing to receive some type of compensatory, draft picks, they have to offer what is called a qualifying offer.
Okay.
And in this case, I don't think they offered those because these guys, as you just said, are now free agents. The qualifying offer would have had to been denied first or basically bypassed by player. If that wasn't the case. So I assume they are not going to offer these guys qualifying offers because they're free agents.
Okay. Well, that is.
But it doesn't mean that they can't now go negotiate with them as free agents.
Now, okay, out of those 9 guys.
Yeah, of those 9 guys, who would we want?
Gary Sanchez.
Give me your. Oh yeah.
Cooper. Or does he create a logjam? I mean, he's a good DH too. I like the way Garrett Cooper played. I could
right-handed bat.
I could take him. Gary Sanchez comes back. Jurickson Profar. Great locker room.
Good locker room.
Team won a lot of games once they signed him. A lot of people gave him a lot of credit for that. I don't know how much he really contributed.
I would say my 3 would be Blake Snell,
Blake Snell,
Gary Sanchez, and Garrett Cooper.
All
right. Now narrow it down one more time, and the most important person to re-sign on that list, both of you.
Most important person to re-sign on that list is Blake Snell, but I don't think it can happen. I don't think they have enough money to do it.
Should have phrased that question a little bit differently.
You should have.
Most important person not named Blake Snell on this list.
Well, it's not Rich Hill. Let's put it that way.
Gary?
Yeah, it has to be Gary Sanchez.
I don't know. Campusano looks pretty good.
Campusano looks real good.
He looks really good. I mean, do you really want to split time with those guys, or do you want to give Campusano the job the bulk of the time?
Either way, having a good backup is a good thing. I know. After watching the last few years, especially with Ostanola having to be run out there every day, I don't know that it's good to necessarily have a catcher that you're running out there every day. Now, I'm certainly on board with Campusano getting the bulk of the playing time, but I mean Gary Sanchez was a savior there for a little bit.
He's probably going to be expensive.
Is he though?
More
I don't know that teams are going to feel the same way that the Padres may because they were beneficiaries of this.
Do you think it's more of a gamble because he came to the team with nothing, quote unquote, nothing to give, and he ended up giving a lot?
I don't think it's a gamble because I don't think it's going to cost him a lot. I really don't. I don't think his price tag has just soared.
I think he likes the team too.
And he likes you.
Oh, yeah. I interviewed Gary on the field after they beat the Cubs one night.
Yeah, he was telling me about that.
Oh, he was? Okay. You speak Spanish? I didn't realize that.
Telling me about that.
See. All right, Gwynn and Chris takes a quick break. When we come back, Aztec basketball, 4 days away from opening night. Dave Velasquez, their outstanding assistant coach, will be on with us to give us a preview of the 2023-24 season. Can't wait. It's next on Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
When it comes to Matt Eberflus,
The number 17 San Diego State Aztecs kick off their regular season action Monday night.
7:30.
7:30
Yes.
tip-off time.
The AHAS Arena. Game will be televised, but we don't need no stinking TV. We're all going to go to the game.
No stinking TV.
No, we got to go to the game.
Was I invited to this game?
You're not going. You can watch on TV.
I heard you guys talking about it. I didn't hear an invitation come my way.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. Chris didn't extend me one. I didn't extend it.
Chris isn't going to the game. That's why he can't invite you. He'll be in,
Okay.
Chris will be in Portland for the women's opener on Monday night.
There we
so
go.
I will miss the men's opener, but very excited about this season. Obviously, it's been a little more than 200 days, as we learned the other day, since Lamont Butler hit that shot against Florida Atlantic and had our shot at the national championship thanks to an unbelievable run by those kids last March.
That's still crazy to me.
It is. It doesn't make sense, right?
Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, they were in the final game. They didn't just make the final four, which was enough,
right,
for all of us.
They one-upped it.
They one-upped that even.
Yeah, that was it was impressive. We're open for another one of those type of seasons. Assistant Coach Dave Velasquez will join us here shortly. We'll talk about that Monday matchup. We'll talk a little bit about what is ahead for this team, because unlike last year, we knew going in this was going to be a pretty veteran team. It was going to be a pretty deep team at that. And there throughout the course of the regular season, it was like you just kept waiting for this team to kind of take off.
Yeah, because they lost 7 games, and they lost. They were 13-4 after a loss to New Mexico, which is good. I mean, they started 4-0, but remember those losses to Arizona and Arkansas in Maui early in the season, and then they lost to St. Mary's. But after those 3 games, it was hard to see them really going a whole lot further than, say, the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and I remember
because those teams looked, better than them. Arizona especially looked like they were on another level.
The one thing I remember, and we're about to bring Assistant Coach Dave Velasquez on here in a sec. I remember him telling us that this is one of the things where they're building up towards the end, and sure enough, they did. Let's welcome in Assistant Coach Dave Velasquez to the show. Dave, how are you? How's your golf game, man?
Man, I wish I could play a lot more. This time of year, you put them away, and they're in the closet, and they're catching spider webs until about March or April, depending on how far we go again this year.
Let's talk a little bit about this ball club. First of all, love to have you on. Thanks for coming on. How would you describe this year's team going in? We knew last year coming in, it was a veteran team. It felt pretty deep. Where is this squad heading out after, you lose a lot of those seniors from last year?
It's hard to put a one word on it, because, it still has some veterans on it, but it also has some young guys that, again, not necessarily young, but guys that haven't really been put into the fire, have not had to go through the ups and downs, and they've seen the process. Guys I'm talking about, Miles Bird, Elijah Saunders, they've seen the process, but they haven't been a part of the process of kind of the peaks and the valleys.
Yeah.
I heard what you guys are talking about some of the early games, or towards the end, obviously, but it's a whole journey. Every team is different. This team is going to be a team that whatever we might think they are today is not who they're going to be in a month. 2 months from now, they're going to change. And it just is. You never really know. Obviously, with the 4 veterans back, they're expected to step up in a bigger way. Even as good as they might have played a guy like Lamont Butler, he still has room to grow in his game on both ends of the floor. And now he has that chance, his opportunity to step up and do that. A guy like Jaden Ledee, who's been to 3 different colleges, and he was good for us last year. Now we're expecting him to be great for us this year. So again, it's a process. It's a process for Micah Parrish to not be the guy that's coming in for Matt Bradley. He's going to be the guy that we're going to rely on from the jump ball. That stuff's hard, and it's like I said, it's a journey, it's a process, and I've been really excited about how they've handled that late success since that run, and how they handled the summer, how they've handled the fall, and excited to see them get going on Monday for real.
Dave, I just want to thank you as from a fan's perspective for one of the great moments of my fan life. I mean, honestly, I mean, it's not up there with, the wedding and the birth of a child, but it's up there in terms of rooting for sports teams. One of the great 2-3 weeks I've ever had. So thanks to you guys for providing all that for all of us. And you just touched on a little bit. Do you leave it all behind now once you tip off Monday night, or is there still some of that you'd like to bring along into this season?
Well, unfortunately, you got to look forward, but the problem is that the teams that we're playing, they're bringing it all with them.
Right.
We always have a bullseye, but they know, the name on the jersey even got bigger. And it's always been a bullseye for a lot of teams. But, I remember when I first got to San Diego State, and you even got to play like it's just any Pac-12 school, but it's like certainly like man, we used to get so fired up for those games. I mean, it used to be like Coach Fisher had to calm everybody down and shoot around. Like, guys, calm. We're not going to win the game at 2 p.m. The game's not till 7. Everybody calm down. And, I kind of feel like we'll have a bigger bullseye. But, I do think actually we did learn a lot through last year. I do think it's going to help us kind of look back, maybe even show some examples of how to do things, or reminders for some of the guys if things don't go so well, immediately, or maybe we hit a bump in the road, and to talk about some of the bumps we hit last year, and that, again, it's all great learning experiences, and let's grow from that whatever moment that might be. And so I do think it's a little bit of, you're never going to ever leave it behind, right? I mean, Monday night when that banner falls, talking to a guy here, this is my 22nd season now at San Diego State. When that banner falls in Viejas in an area that's never been put before, it's going to be different. It's going to be emotional, and we know that. And it's something we earned, and it's an emotional moment that I'm sure I'll never forget. But it's exciting times right now.
Dave Velasquez joins us here, Aztecs assistant coach. And Dave, you kind of hit on it a little bit, right? You try to leave this stuff behind and move forward. But is it a plus to have the type of experience you had last year? You at least the 4 guys that are coming back. And that experience that at that level, is it a positive, is it a bonus to have those guys now on the floor, kind of bringing in this next group of guys who you just mentioned? They haven't necessarily experienced those pitfalls, ups, downs, whatever they may be throughout the course of the season. Is it helpful to have 4 guys like you do, bringing those guys along?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's incredibly helpful to have those guys. And, in sports, a lot of all the fancy is what happens in between those lines. There's so many moments outside of those lines, from the film room to the workouts to practices every day. And I think just those experiences that we kind of learned about how important it was to get ready for in Alabama, or talk about a quick turnaround, or where we had to get ready for Creighton. And, those times are really good, especially when you play these non-conference tournaments. We're going to open up with St. Mary's, and then have the winner-loser of Washington Xavier. And we're going to have one day to prepare, just like the NCAA tournament. Yeah. And for those guys to be in those ballrooms, those random ballrooms in Las Vegas, wherever we're staying, and get ready for that game, and be able to get the other guys to lock in and have them understand the importance of everything that we're doing. I think it's incredibly important.
Dave Velasquez is with us. The Aztecs basketball team opens up on Monday night against Cal State Fullerton. And Dave, defensively, the Aztecs, that has been the calling card of this program. Started under Coach Fisher. It has certainly continued under Coach Dutcher, and with a lot of help coming from you particularly. But now you have to do it without Nathan Mensah. And I know that as a coach, you can tell us just how unbelievably important it was to have this guy as a last line of defense, just in case anybody did get beat on the perimeter. So how do you make up? Well, I guess you can't make up for the loss, but what do you do to try your best to replace that?
You're absolutely right. I mean, he was not always at the back line of the defense. At times he was the front line of the defense. Yeah. We were able to switch any guard in the country, and he was able to keep him in front. And so there's a lot of, that's the one thing. And everybody kept asking me since, what do we got to replace? I mean, we're not just replacing the veteran leadership. We're replacing truly 4 guys on that end of the floor that were really, really good defenders in Seiko, Orope, Keyshawn Johnson, and Nathan Mensah. I mean, those 4 guys, that was their calling card. I mean, none of them averaged over double figures. What their calling card was on the defensive end of the floor. They were versatile. They were incredibly smart defenders. They had great instincts. And so I think that's the one thing we are going to miss right away. And I do think we have guys that will eventually get there. But just to those 4 guys that have been in our system, I mean, Adam Sickle was in our same defensive system for 6 years by the time he was done, or Gukaro 5 years, Mintza 4 years, Johnson 4 years. I mean, those guys, they've been around, and they understand, the ins and outs and the scouting reports and, how we like to defend certain actions. And so, yeah, it's not just, losing the rim protection. You're losing it quite a bit. And so with this new group, it's to get them and to understand it quicker, demand more out of them, maybe this time of year through this October, practice that we just went through, and expect them to be ready to go on Monday night. I mean, there's no excuses. I mean, nobody's going to care on Monday night if we don't defend well, that we don't have those guys. I mean, we're expected to go out there and defend and play at a high level defensively. And like you mentioned, be what this program is. It's a defensive program. And so right now we need to turn it into a defensive team. And that's been my kind of rallying cry to the guys over the past month is, just because you wear the San Diego State doesn't mean you just wake up in the morning and defend. You got to earn this. And the defensive side of the ball it's very black and white. It's a factual. There's not an opinion on where you're supposed to be. There's a fact of where you're supposed to be. So it's a lot different than offense. And so defensively, we're just getting our guys there. And again, like I said, there'll be learning curves, but our guys are going to get after it. There's one thing about San Diego State. If there's a loose ball, we're going to be the first ones to it. If there's a rebound, we're going to hit somebody. That toughness factor will not go away, and our guys know that. And again, like we've mentioned, before this whole thing with the veteran leadership, they'll help us with that. They'll not just, it won't just come from the coaches. They'll come from them as well.
If you do figure out a way for somebody just to throw a San Diego State jersey on, and then be able to automatically defend, that's going to be the ticket right there.
Yes, you guys will have it.
I do want to ask you a little bit about Jaden Ledee, because I go back to last year. He transfers here. We get a chance to see him on the court, and it seemed like it developed slowly along the season. By the time you guys got to tournament time, he was a big factor. You mentioned it, going from good to great. What type of things are you looking to see from Jaden Ledee to go from good to great?
Well, first things first, and we've been really working on this, is just stay out of foul trouble. In college basketball, they're getting only those 5 fouls, and Coach Stetcher's, not big on playing guys with 2 fouls. It's to keep him on the floor as long as we can. So that's first and foremost. The second thing for him to do is kind of understand we're in this role. And again, it's a lot like Micah Parrish. When you're coming in off the bench and you're coming in for guys that are starting in front of you or producing at a higher level, the natural tendency is to go in there and produce right away. And sometimes they kind of have to.
Right.
That's kind of, they're coming in and they got to show that they're ready to go. It's kind of their night, so they can take away some minutes from other guys that are playing in front of them. Well, in this role now that Jaden has now is to kind of let the flow of the game happen, knowing that you don't have to press as much. You're going to get your shots, you're going to get your minutes, and over time, you're going to wear down the defense enough. And the last thing I'll say is just, as great of an offensive rebounder he is, I think that's the one thing, like in the San Marcos, for an example, they have this new thing on the box score that hasn't been there that long, but it says fouls drawn. Yeah. He drew 11 fouls against San Marcos, and that's a lot of that comes from him just offensive rebounding, putting so much pressure. The flip side of that is he needs to do on the defensive end every single possession, to rebound outside of his area, to run down rebound. So Jaden's going to put himself, he already has, I'll tell you what, he's worked as hard as anybody I've seen from the season ending to today on staying in that gym, never leaving, never taking a week off, in the best shape of his life. And so when you see that every day, I'm so excited for him to get going and know that there is going to be a game. Because again, guys, we're the same like you. We yell at the refs too. I mean, there's going to be a bad whistle here and there, and he's going to end up with 2 fouls in the first half in one of these games that maybe he didn't deserve. And to kind of see how, he reacts to that. Yeah. Comes out in the second half. Is he going to be in the flow? And so again, like I said, everybody's in a new role. It happens every season. Last year we learned who we were. I mean, we basically changed our offense halfway through the season with going to 2 duck and post. I mean, that's just something you learn through your team. And not any coach has all the answers to their team in November, but hopefully you start to figure it out by conference.
Real quick, Coach, before we let you go, Reese Waters, how good has he been in the short time you've had him, the transfer from USC?
He's been great. Reese has been great. Reese is a guy that can obviously score. He's a guy that has a really good high basketball IQ. And so the one thing with Reese is, again, just getting up to the standard of San Diego State defense. It's not that he can't do it. I have patience with those guys, and we've had a lot of guys that, it takes time. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
As a coach, I can't lose it on him because he doesn't know what our standard is. It's our job to teach him what our standard is. And I think he's done a great job of trying to meet the standards as well as he can this early. And so, again, we'll continue to work with him and on the defensive side of the ball, because offensively, Reese will be a guy. He'll have some really, really big nights, and he'll have some nights that are okay nights, but he's always going to try to make the right play and just kind of let the game come to him. And so that Reese is going to be, we're somebody, again, that we're relying on to be a really good player for us this year.
Well, Dave, we certainly will be right behind you on Monday, hopefully to another Aztec victory. We look forward to talking to you many more times across the season, and good luck this year.
Well, thank you guys. And again, I remember when you were two of the guys that I first met when I first got here almost 2 decades ago. So I appreciate all the support through the years. It was a fun run. Let's do it all over again. And thank you again for having me.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Dave Velasquez, Aztecs assistant men's basketball coach there. And one thing that just doesn't get old, and it doesn't ever just go over my head, as he was talking about the transfer there from USC, it doesn't matter who you are, how good you are offensively. You could have poured in 50 a game last year. If you don't come here and play defense, you won't be scoring very many.
You'll be sitting next to, what was it Bobby Knight said, using the coach again? He said, one of the greatest motivators is you're behind on that bench.
It is.
And that's what'll happen.
That is true.
That'll happen at San Diego State if you're not playing defense. I like to remind everybody, I know the Aztecs, people think it's probably a long, long shot for them to go back to the national championship game, but 2010, Butler. 2011,
Butler.
Yeah. That's kind of my rallying cry. Why not do it again? Only this time, let's win it.
Yeah, we were blown away last year. There's no reason why it can't happen once again. Let's get the break. Daily Gambit on the way. More Gwynn and Chris.
3:01 is the time as we get back underway here. Hour number 2 of our Thursday get-together, headed towards Thursday night football. The Tennessee Titans, the Pittsburgh Steelers going at it this evening in the Steel City, and Ryan Tannehill will not be quarterbacking tonight. It's probably good news for Tennessee. Will Levis, who threw 4 touchdowns in his debut, will give it a shot tonight against Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Not really a lot going on. Newsworthy, we mentioned in the opening hour that Max Muncy has re-signed with the Dodgers, 2-year contract. Let's see, what was it? $24 million for Max Muncy. And, of course, I guess now free agency and all of the signing and all of this offseason stuff can begin now that the Texas Rangers have wrapped up their first World Series championship last night with a 5-0 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks. I tuned in after the game, Tony, to a little overtime action in the NBA.
I bet you did.
And it was a pretty good finish. The Lakers and the Clippers. First, the Lakers had the lead, and then it wasn't a great foul. And number one, your guy who was the guy who fouled Paul George?
Reddish. Yes.
Cam Reddish. Here's the thing that I liked, Tony, is that he fouled him. Then he told anyone who will listen that he never touched him. The problem was there's replay. And on the replay, he clearly hit Paul George on the elbow and on the follow through.
Let me tell you how much of a fan I am.
You still didn't think he hit it?
I was trying to find.
You were trying to find any way that wasn't a
foul.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah, unfortunately. But the same way as in overtime when Paul George fouled out.
Definitely
he reached in on LeBron James, and then he told everybody in the building, I never touched him. There's no way I touched him, except for the fact that the replay clearly showed that you hit his arm.
That's the problem, guys. There is a replay. And
there's replay now, so stop telling everybody that it wasn't a foul.
It's very rare that you can go grab the still shot from the camera like Patrick Beverly did last year and bring that on the court. That doesn't happen very often, and they don't usually like it when you do that. So you should stay away from it.
Yeah, Paul George hit all the free throws, sent the game to overtime. But in overtime, LeBron took over, but I thought the key guy really was Austin Reeves.
It was definitely Austin Reeves.
He scored the basket. He made the steal against Kawhi Leonard. He made the alley-oop pass to LeBron. And when they took the lead, Austin Reeves was making all the plays. LeBron was doing it. And what is he now? 38. He played 38 minutes, which is 10 minutes more than he's supposed to. But he continues to bring it at the end of the games. Any concern, as a Laker fan, I'll ask you, that Anthony Davis, again, quiet in overtime. They don't really run through him as much as they said they're going to.
You know, I'm glad you just said that, because I think here's the deal, right? I've been saying it. You've been saying it. Everybody who watches basketball has been saying it, right? It's time for AD to be the guy.
Right.
And let LeBron. The problem is the offense isn't ran like that. Yeah. Unfortunately, right? Because if he's supposed to be the guy, that would mean, all right, we're going to get you the ball on the block. We're going to get you the ball here. They might go to him from back-to-back possessions, but then it goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I think it's hard for him to do that. I think as long as he anchors the defense, as he did last night, and he plays it at a high level, that is good enough right now for the Lakers. And the other thing to remember is they got a bunch of injuries right now. Vanderbilt's not playing. They didn't have Prince last night. And so they're kind of short-manned as it is. So Bron's minutes are going to be up until they get back to full strength at the very least.
And I think, but just from what I watched last night, and it's only the 5th game of the season, I still think LeBron's going to be the guy.
He is the guy.
You know, they might be able to sit him out some games where Anthony Davis can be the guy. But when they're both on the floor, they're still LeBron. I mean, it's like asking Michael Jordan to let Scottie Pippen be the guy. And he's not going to be able to do it.
And that's the thing, is that come fourth quarter, it's going to be LeBron James.
Yeah.
The question is, can AD supplement quarters 1 through 3, or at least 2 and 3 to kind of give Bron the break he needs and be able to not play heavy minutes
so he can finish strong.
Right.
All right. The Lakers, by the way, snapped an 11-game losing streak to the Clippers. Sorry.
The last time they beat the Clippers was in the bubble. Kevin Kuzma was on the team then.
I could not believe that was right. James Harden, by the way, was a
Kyle Kuzma.
Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah. James Harden, by the way, was a spectator. I thought he was supposed to play last night.
Okay, can we talk about this? Is where
No,
I
we
jump
can't
in the
talk
NBA
about it. We can't talk
We
about
got
it.
to get to a daily gambit.
We got to do the daily gambit.
We got to get to a
Sorry.
daily gambit.
Sorry.
No, I don't want to hear from you.
Okay. You have spoken.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo!
If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. What I'm going to say about James Harden is that I'm going to start looking for bets on how many games they'll play this year, and I'm hoping I'll find under one.
Don't take any bets Skraby's offering. This is not even going to be a thing.
Over under one game played for James Harden this year. How much is that guy getting paid, and how much is he getting paid to sit on the bench everywhere he goes?
Why should he play? He's still getting the
You're
money.
right. You're right. No one wants him to play for his money. It's insane to me. It really is bothering me if you can't tell. All right.
I want my money back from my bet last night, though, because I picked the Clippers based on the fact that he was playing.
Oh, that's our sports book does not do that here, Chris.
No. All right, another loss.
Also, I'm looking at the chat. I don't see Mr. D's in there because
does he owe me a breakfast burrito?
I believe so, but I don't see them in the chat. So if you're in the chat, better believe we're gonna talk to you about that breakfast
I'm collecting that breakfast burrito, which I could have at any time of the day.
You're just going to have to show up at Tony's beck and call. 4 a.m, I want my breakfast burrito. All right. Let's get into the bets from last night. Zach Gallen, over, under, 15.5 outs in the game. Chris, you went under. Tony and I went over, and he did go over. In fact, he had a no-hitter through win. 6?
Yeah. Had a perfect game through 4, I think.
He went 19 outs.
Pitched really well. Really
You know
well.
what that reminded me of last night? A Padres game for this year. Like a pitcher going out there, throwing a no-hitter, being really, really good, and their offense just squandering every single runner in scoring position opportunity.
Yeah, welcome to our
RISP.
I know.
Welcome to our nightmare.
The Rangers were -1.5 on the run line last night. Chris chose the Diamondbacks. Tony and I chose the Rangers. The Rangers won 5-0. Bulls playing the Mavericks. The Mavericks were -4.5 on the spread. Chris and I chose the Mavs. Tony chose the Bulls, but the Mavs won 114-105, and they covered. So
yeah, Bulls were ahead after 3 quarters and then didn't bring it in the 4th quarter, unfortunately. Go ahead.
Oh, Diesel's there. Diesel, we're gonna have to get your info soon.
Yeah, and bring it by for everybody since you're coming with Tony's breakfast burrito.
I'm not going to make him buy me a breakfast burrito.
Right.
Only Tony, because that was the bet. Lakers last night, we just talked about it. They were 3-point favorites in the game, and this is where the bet came from. D's took Lakers. Took Clippers. I'm sorry, took Clippers. Tony took Lakers. So Lakers won 130-125, and they cover. Chris took the Clippers. Tony and I took the Lakers.
You know what I enjoyed more? I mean, not as much as the Lakers winning. I enjoyed seeing like Kawhi on the floor, Paul George, all the stars were on the floor. Minus James Harden.
It's a big one, right? I want to make another comment, but I'm moving on. Coyotes at Ducks last night. Ducks were favorites in this game.
No.
I thought
Coyotes
they
were favored. Coyotes were favored by 1.5.
All right, well, then I lost because the Ducks won 4-3. I thought I had a 5-0 day. I had a 4-1 day.
I took the Ducks, too.
Yeah, you and I hit that one.
Yeah.
Skraby missed it because the Ducks won 4-3. Ducks are playing pretty well to begin the season after having the worst record in the league last year. So good for them.
All right.
Start.
Next thing we need to talk about, the World Series 2024 odds. Where do you guys think the Padres rank in the World Series odds?
I'm gonna
without
say
taking a look.
Who?
I hate Chris sometimes. The Padres World Series odds. Where do you think they rank?
Eighth.
Chris has already seen this.
I'm gonna go 8th too.
Oh man, you must be genius at sports stuff because they are 8th.
Yeah. Oh, really?
The Braves come in number 1, then the Dodgers, then the Astros, then the Rangers, then the Phillies, then the Yankees, then the Orioles, then the Padres.
How in the what are the Dodgers 2nd after 2 straight years of getting bounced out of a bye?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Their team got, I would say on paper, worse from the year before to last year.
I know why.
Because people are going to bet the Dodgers are the second best.
That's why they put them up there.
And because Ohtani.
He's not on the team literally not on their team.
But I think people are banking on him being on the team, and they're trying to get these odds while they're kind of high, I guess.
What are the Padres numbers?
Plus 1,600. I might do that.
Go ahead.
I mean, they don't even have a manager, though. So how am I going to really make a bet on the Padres without even knowing who their manager is? Will my bet change depending on the manager?
I just wanted to inform you that the Clippers introduced James Harden today as their guard. He will play on Monday.
Monday.
Okay.
How many games do they have between now and then?
No, I don't think they have any. It's because they have like a 4-day stretch. I read an article this morning trashing James Harden, and so I read all of it.
I was going to say, how do you know their schedule?
Yeah, exactly. Because I love to trash James Harden. But the Padres plus 1,600. Last question. I know I just asked it. Are you guys likely to change the way you bet based on who they hire as a manager?
No.
So you would either be in or out regardless.
I take that back. Maybe I would.
Okay. Chris?
I'm in on the Padres next year. Karma's got to switch back in their favor.
All right. Okay.
I'm hoping.
Now, this is one of the most random parlays I've ever seen hit in my days as the Daily Gambit leader, host. It's a 4-leg parlay, plus 100,000 if this one would hit. This person bet $50. Do you guys know who Peyton Pritchard is?
I don't.
I think he's a guard for the Celtics.
Yes, he's the backup shooting guard or backup point guard for the Celtics. And this person bet 8+ Peyton Pritchard assists, 2+ Peyton Pritchard rebounds, 9+ Peyton Pritchard points plus rebounds, and then the Celtics to win -3.5 on the spread. Well, this $50 did cash because Peyton Pritchard went crazy, paying this person $50,000 for winning this bet.
He bet all of that based on the fact that the Celtics would blow out Indiana.
And they did.
And they beat them by 45 points, which meant Pritchard got to play the entire fourth quarter and put up all those stats.
And that works for them.
So good work by that.
It's not often that you get blown out by a score of 155 to 114.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
that was the second most points the Celtics have ever scored. And the Celtics have been around a while.
They have.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to give the Giants odds. I got a request for that. They're way down there, actually. They are the San Francisco Giants odds to win the World Series in 2024, plus 3,500, just behind the Diamondbacks. So they're 2, 4,
Who's the
6,
longest
8,
shot on the board?
10, 12, 14, 16. They're 17th, the Giants. The longest shot on the board. Ooh, there's a tie. Your Rockies, Chris.
My Rockies.
And
don't give me credit for the Rockies.
The A's.
Rockies are no better than the A's? Boy, that'll hang with them, Dick Monfort.
It's a plus 20,000 on each side.
Hang with
the
them.
White Sox. Are they going to drastically change their team because they're plus 10,000? I didn't know that they were going to have
better
that
than
much
the Padres.
turnover. Yeah, well,
no, you said plus 10,000.
Oh,
yeah,
10,
they're at the
Padres
bottom.
are 1,600.
Yeah, they're at the way bottom.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw the White Sox at the end of the year like I did, you would understand why they're plus 10,000.
Okay.
They didn't look very good, did they?
Chris, what do we got?
We got Derrick Henry playing against Chris in fantasy football this week. I put that in because you know what happens when a player goes against me in fantasy football. His over-under for rushing and receiving yardage is 89.5 tonight. Skraby, would you like to take advantage of a sure thing and bet Derrick Henry to go over?
I'm going to go under.
What?
I don't believe Will Levis is going to have the success that he did last week or on Sunday.
I don't care if Will Levis has success.
I know. I'm just saying they're not going to be able to move the ball is what I'm trying to say.
89.5 yards. He'll have it by halftime. I said the same thing last week when we were talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, and he did it. So, yeah, Derrick Henry will definitely go over, and he'll score probably a touchdown or two tonight. Tony, what do you think? 89.5 is the number, rushing and receiving.
He's going over.
Yeah, he is. I'm going to get blistered again. All right, Victor Wembanyama The rookie sensation for the San Antonio Spurs goes into Phoenix tonight to take on the Suns. His over-under for points is 16.5. I think I'm first. Suns give up a lot of points, and there'll be some garbage time for Wembayama to score, so I say he goes over 16.5 points tonight. Tony?
I'm going over.
You're going over as well for Wembayama. Skraby?
I've seen a couple of his games, but I have no idea what he's averaging or anything like that.
Yeah, well,
I'm looking.
He's averaging.
He's averaging
rebounds. I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. Here he goes. He's averaging 16 points a game.
Well, there you go. There's
I will go over.
We are going over on that one. Okay, college football tonight. Texas Tech hosts the defending national championship game participant TCU. TCU's not had a great season. Texas Tech not a whole lot better. They're 2.5-point favorite at home. The Red Raiders.
Red Raiders.
Tony, going guns up, or are you going Braden Surprenant? He can't.
Guns up.
I can't take
the horned frog.
I'm doing the horned frog in the camera.
Scraby, what are you doing? Are you betting on the horned frogs?
No.
Since you're doing the horned frog?
No.
Texas Tech. TCU's bad, but I'll take them just to make it fun. Finally, hockey tonight. The LA Kings are off to a nice start.
They are.
But they're on a long road trip. Tonight it stops in Ottawa.
Is this back-to-backs? They played Toronto last night, wasn't it? Or was that the night before?
I think that was the night before. Ottawa is 4-4. Kings are 5-2-2.
They're on their East Coast swing right now.
Not only are they on the East Coast swing, they're 4-0, perfect 4-0 on the road. Tony, you are the NHL expert. Let's begin with you. Kings are favored by 1.5 here.
Going Kings, baby.
Kings on the road. Make it 5-0 on the road. That's tough. I'll take Ottawa, just in case it's close. Scraby, Kings favored by 1.5.
I am going to go with Ottawa.
Ottawa as
well.
Ottawa, the Ottawa what? Scraby?
Senators.
Very good. Nice.
Good.
You know why I know that?
Because you like sports.
I'm not even going to reveal why I know them.
Our hockey knowledge is getting a lot better on this show. Tony is 7-2 this week. Scraby is very good, 9-5. Chris is 8-6. So all of us are over 500 to this point.
Wait, I'm 9-5? Oh, I guess Tony missed Monday.
Tony missed Monday.
So don't flex.
No, I'm flexing on
Don't flex when you haven't made as many bets as us.
I had an off day.
Tony's been very good on the betting. And
tired of the flex.
So there's two things for you. Tony's been very good on the betting, and Derrick Henry is playing against me in fantasy. Take advantage of this, people. If you have to gamble,
Chris Ello's advice, ladies.
If you have to gamble tonight, bet on Derrick Henry. I mean, it's been against me all year long. So don't miss this opportunity.
Chris, you speak this stuff into existence.
You kind of
like I know it really has an impact.
You speak
like
it
somewhere in
existence.
Pittsburgh right now, Derrick Henry knows what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, just the universe.
The universe knows.
The universe knows.
So the hole will get a little bit bigger now. It has to already be big for him to get through it.
The universe is like, oh, well, he did it again. So I guess we have to do it.
I'm trying to help my gambling friends out there. So that's my advice to all of you. We'll take a quick time out. We'll check some traffic. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max, San Diego's highest rated heating and air conditioning
shaving cream for a thick lather and a close, comfortable shave. Barbasol, the American original for over 100 years. Better buy Barbasol.
.326, very, very short segment. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. More details are emerging from Mark Davis firing Josh McDaniels. We'll save that for later. But more details continue to come out about this Jim Harbaugh sign stealing situation. It's not just the public outcry here. It's coming from within the Big Ten.
Yeah,
the coaches are basically putting the commissioner's feet to the fire about what they're going to do. Because do something is what they're saying. One Big Ten coach is quoted as saying, this guy was on the hot seat in 2021. Look at his record since then. Since all of this stuff is starting, by stuff I'm talking about, this cheating scandal, I saw this is not just limited to Michigan either. I saw a story yesterday of a smaller school. They actually had a guy on the sideline. Dressed up. Central Michigan, the Chippewas, right?
Yes. They are.
They apparently have been called out for having somebody on the sideline who was not a part of their staff, was not credentialed, yet he found his way. Now, according to head coach, they've ran back the list of people who were left credentials, not on there, but somehow this guy was representing them on the sideline. And so they're trying to get to the bottom of that, but I bring it up because this Michigan State story, which seemed like it was a big deal, but not like that big a deal, is seemingly becoming a bigger deal, in part because Michigan right now is the representative for Big Ten right now.
The more you read about it, the more involved it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I know Jim Harbaugh would like us to believe that he didn't know anything, and it's a rogue employee who on his own just went off and started cheating and giving information, I guess, to the assistant coaches without Harbaugh's knowledge. There's no way that Harbaugh could not have known something was happening with a situation that was as involved as this, and it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's why the coaches in the Big Ten, in a conference call, apparently, according to sources, Tony, they talked with the commissioner and then they kicked Harbaugh out of the call.
Yeah, he got off
so that they could talk with the commissioner further and in more detail. And basically, everybody wants Harbaugh to get, something what's coming to him. I'll tell you one thing. If it ever gets proven that Harbaugh officially knew about this sign stealing, first of all, it takes away from everything he at Michigan has accomplished over the last 3 years. And B, he needs to be fired immediately. This is the University of Michigan. They're supposed to stand for something there.
Yeah.
I mean, the athletic director continues to hide behind Harbaugh and say that they're doing all of the internal investigations the same way they said they did when it came to the recruiting violations. And then all of a sudden, after they became public, the athletic director goes, "Oh no, we've put him on a 2-week leave, or something." They gave him a vacation for the 2 games against UNLV and Kent State or something like that. Like it really mattered to have him. I don't. Something's got to happen here. So, I think Harbaugh's time at Michigan may be limited.
It's starting to listen
because the walls are closing in.
When Bruce Feldman and Nicole Auerbach are in the article writing about you, your time is ticking. I think.
Yeah,
usually
I think so.
They're on these stories a lot of times.
It's only so long that you can keep saying I didn't know anything before something gets uncovered about you knowing something.
To your point, Jim Harbaugh left the call. That frustration was voiced loud and clear, according to the conference coaches, who said they don't feel like the new Big Ten commissioner is, quote unquote, motivated to do anything about the Wolverines. There's a ton of frustration, the Big Ten coach told The Athletic. Look at Jim Harbaugh's record before this started. The guy was on the hot seat before 2021. Now he's like the king of college football. No doubt this has all had a profound effect. Another coach said, this guy's been investigated for 3 different things now, between alleged illegal signal stealing, the alleged illegal recruiting, during COVID, and that investigation into the offensive coordinator and alleged computer hacking. There are guys who could lose jobs, and there's this guy over here, Harbaugh, who is going to get a new, bigger contract now, and that won't do anything to him.
I'm surprised at you guys, to be honest, because I could totally see me bringing a story like this up and say a bunch of other coaches got on a phone and did this, and you guys saying sounds like a bunch of jealous coaches. That's what it sounds like to me.
No,
these guys are jealous.
I don't think that's
jealous of what? They're not cheating?
No, jealous that he's having success. Like, why would an anonymous coach say, "Oh, he was on the hot seat"? How does he really know he was on the hot seat?
It was pretty public knowledge he was on the hot seat. If he didn't beat Ohio State after losing, I think he hadn't beat them, right? He was like 0-5 or 0-6 or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's the thing that's different about this to me, Skraby, is that, as one of the coaches pointed out there, other coaches are losing their jobs because they keep getting their hat handed to them by Michigan.
Coach Harder.
These guys are all losing their jobs because Coach Harder.
It does. It honestly sounds like these guys are jealous and they just want him out of the Big Ten.
Skraby, you know what that's like saying? That's like being mad at all the pitchers who weren't taking steroids, that were giving up homers to dudes consistently, getting sit down, and it's like, no, they just need to pitch better. That's
take more steroids. Keep up with the other people.
That's completely different.
No, it's not completely different.
No, it's a performance enhancer, and it makes you superhuman.
And stealing signs is a performance enhancer, apparently, as well.
You're telling me that none of these other teams do anything?
Listen, I'm not saying that I know that, but I'm saying right now it appears as though Jim Harbaugh has an advantage because of the scouting, quote unquote, that he's doing of these sign stealing.
It's just very crying over spill. Oh, Jim, can you leave the call so we can badmouth you when you hang up?
He had to know it was coming.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't care either.
He probably doesn't.
I'm really surprised at you all of a sudden. Right? I mean,
this
really, you're going ahead and saying that what Harbaugh's doing is fine, and everybody else, if you're not cheating, you need to
know anything. These are questions.
No,
you guys
but what do you think? What do you think?
When have you ever needed evidence to convict somebody, Skraby?
What does your crazy little mind tell you about a situation where there's reports of sign stealing over the last 3 years that involve almost everyone in the Michigan program? Do you think that the head coach had no knowledge? What does your head tell you? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm trying to find a way out of this.
You can't get out of it.
Here's where I'll say it's not likely that he is unaware of.
You think?
It's not, but at the same time, it does really sound like a bunch of high school kids talking on the phone about someone who.
Wow,
he's just so.
No, wait a second.
Mean.
I was not. I was.
That was a Chris voice.
It was a Chris voice. I heard that yesterday.
That was a Chris voice. I was not in on the call. Don't be doing a Chris voice when you're imitating Big Ten coaches.
I am so surprised at you, Scrape. This is. I anticipated you would be all over Jim.
No kidding. I think you'd want to run him over with a truck.
I think you get
based on your normal knowledge of this
I honestly
stuff.
do not care one bit about Big Ten football. Doesn't change my day.
I don't necessarily care either.
I don't either.
But it's still he's still cheating if this is true.
I wait until. Never mind.
You're waiting for more evidence. Is that what you're
No, I'm waiting to find out when all these other coaches are going to get caught
when
for cheating.
When they're going to get caught? No, that might be something. Both things can be true. Right now, we don't know anything about the
Jim
other coaches,
Harbaugh is a
what is Jim Harbaugh?
Upstanding gentleman in my mind right now.
All right, let's get to break. We are well past the time. Big Five on the way. Scraby hopefully hasn't gotten too soft in this last segment. More Gwynn and Chris.
The biggest fan contest is returning on November 13th. Visit 97.3 The Fan SD.
Welcome back to the program. 3:41 is the time. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Mr. Skraby, that supporter of cheating. We found out why he's supporting Jim Harbaugh, by the way, in the break.
This is a break-only conversation.
No, you're not really sticking up for him at all.
Nah.
All it has to do with the fact is that Harbaugh won some games, probably cheating his way when he was head coach of the 49ers.
You mean 3 NFC titles and a Super Bowl appearance?
I think all of that needs to be called into question at this point.
I'm sorry, not titles.
I think all of that needs to be called into question at this point. Same way Belichick's career should be called into question. I'm telling you what, Skraby, you can stick up for him all you want, but Harbaugh's going to get fired. You mark my words.
I don't doubt that he will, but I really think this sounds like a bunch of jealous coaches trying to get rid of the top dog.
Well, he's not necessarily the top dog. Ohio State is number 1 in the country, but he is beating up on everybody and has been beating up on everybody. That's Harbaugh for the last 3 years. Coaches are just saying the reason he's beating up on us is because he's flat out cheating and the rules and the evidence is clear. So they're asking that something be done.
Someone called this on the stream before you guys even brought this up. Andrew on the stream says, known 49ers Mark defends ex-49ers head coach Jim Harbaugh.
There you go.
See, he was on
it.
He was on it.
Yeah, anybody who's ever worn a red shirt in their life is a fan of Skraby.
Yeah, for sure.
You do whatever you
fan
want.
619 said
he's an Ohio State guy.
He is, but he's talking about me. He said he's still mad about yesterday.
He's an Ohio
when
State
I lost.
guy, Brutus.
When you threw your
did you post that video to people so they can watch you lose your mind during the Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show?
It's online.
But can people find it? Because you had it.
Yeah,
you should tweet out that little
explosion.
piece of it that you sent Tony and I. Because if you want a funniest laugh you're going to have today, watching Skraby pout on camera yesterday while he was losing the Fantabulous Sports Game Show, one of the funniest things I've seen in some time.
Yeah, for you.
It's brilliant.
It was the second funniest moment of the show right after Skraby was going to get his butt wiped by me.
That might have been the first funniest. But the pouting was something
Pouting was up
special.
there, though, for sure.
You got to send that, tweet that out so people can get a good laugh while we get to today's Big Five after traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Not sure what's going on, guys. We got way too many crashes out here. Come on, pay attention. Northbound side of the 5 at Civic Center. A collision looks like that is now over to the right shoulder. Also going to find on the eastbound 52 hit and run crash just past the 15. That's over to the right shoulder. Stalled car on the northbound 805 before Plaza. It's in the HOV lane. Also traveling on southbound 805 right around No Bell. Collision involving a couple vehicles there over the right shoulder. South on the 163 right at the northbound 5 connector ramp. A collision. And traveling on southbound 5 near Claremont Drive. 2-vehicle accident. That's over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, everybody. The Biggest Fan contest is returning November 13th. Visit 973thefansd.com/biggestfan. Register your name and then listen at 9:15, 11:30 a.m., and 5 p.m. during each fan talk show. If you hear your name called, call us back within 10 minutes and you'll qualify for our grand prize 20 tickets to a 2024 Padres game in the Odyssey Suite to watch a Padres game with your friends and all of the fans' hosts. All right, we have very limited time.
Number 5.
Let's get right into
Why do we
it.
have limited time?
I don't know.
We got right to it.
No, we didn't. All right. So the father of San Diego State running back Keenan Christian.
Hang on a second. I just want everybody to look at me in the camera.
Oh, you're pouting like me? You're pouting like me? Okay. All right. I see how it goes. The father of San Diego State running back Keenan Christian, one of the Aztecs team's captains, has been especially critical of the team this year on social media. 5 weeks ago, Keenan Christian Sr. began publicly criticizing the offense and how his son was being misused in it. A series of tweets on September 30th when the San Diego State lost to Air Force 49-10 included, quote, "No creativity, no adjustments. What are we doing?" And then just terrible. And then, quote, I kind of found this funny. "Hey, Google, how do you utilize speed?" That was one of them as well. Oh, my phone just went off. And then on October 14th, when the Aztecs were struggling midway through a game in Hawaii, which they would come back and win, he tweeted, "More of the same equals nothing." And then it became more personal, referencing head coach Brady Hoke, offensive coordinator Ryan Lindley, and running backs coach Jimmy Beal the morning after San Diego State's November 21st loss to Nevada, or October 21st loss. He tweeted, "I had high hopes for Coach Lindley, hearing about getting number 23 the ball in space, letting him use his speed. We have one of the fastest kids in college football, and this OC can't or won't find a way to get him the ball. What a bust." And he also attached a picture of 3 blind mice representing the 3 coaches.
Yeah.
So a lot is going on here. But, Tony, do you think Keenan Christian's father has gone too far?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of parents.
Yeah, we get it. You think your son's great,
right? Like I get it. Like, but I don't think that's the move. I mean, has it resulted in any change, at least for his son Keenan at this point? So it's not working. I just it's a bad look. I just think it serves Keenan no good purpose. It certainly, I would imagine, if and maybe Brady doesn't hold grudges or pay much attention to it, but tell you what, Bobby Knights of the world would have certainly held that against you, and Keenan, for that matter, and most coaches would, I think. It's unfortunate that the season has gone the way it has, but I just don't think this is the move. This is the right way to go about it. Let the coaches coach, let the players play. Parents should just be that. Parents as a support system. But everybody's entitled to do what they feel is necessary. Clearly, Mr. Christian's doing that.
Chris, has Keenan Christian's father gone too far?
Way over, in my estimation. Keenan Christian at San Diego State has had 140 carries over 2 years. He's averaging 3.7 yards per carry. The father wants to blame all of that on the system, none of that on his son's own skill. He was at USC for 2 years, couldn't really crack the lineup on a regular basis there. I think he came to San Diego State. And I'm now it's unfortunate, Tony, because I'm starting to take shots at Keenan Christian as a way of trying to defend the San Diego State thing. The Aztecs offense is terrible this year, but I don't necessarily think that these guys don't know what they're doing. They don't have a good offensive line. Things have not worked out at all. And maybe even some of what the father is saying is there's some merit to it. But I can't listen to a father who I know is coming from a place of, my son is the greatest thing in the entire world and he should get the ball on every play.
Even if he's not coming from that place of, my son's the greatest in the entire world, he's coming from a place of, I want to see my son on the field.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. He's sharing time with 3 or 4 other running backs who, by the way, are all averaging more yards per carry than he is. And whether, again, you want to blame it on the system, but facts are facts. Armstead averages 4.3, Blake, Lucky Sutton, and Keenan Christian all average 3.7. Sounds like all of the running backs are struggling, not just him. So I guess it's the system, and I guess he has a right to say, no, he doesn't. Take it back.
Kirk Kenny wrote that. So if you want to read the full article, you can go to San Diego Union Tribune, and Kirk's going to be on the show with us tomorrow. So maybe we'll ask him
as
that.
Chris said, even if he's right, this ain't the way to go about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know that it puts his son in the best position possible.
Number 4.
Our favorite guy on this show, James Harden. He was introduced as a Clipper today, and he had a press conference. He made news that left Kendrick Perkins speechless, but here is James Harden during the press conference.
I don't think when I'm in a leash, I'm not meant just shooting the basketball every time. I meant like I think the game and I'm a creator on the court. You know what I mean? So if I got a voice to where I can, hey coach, I see this, you know, what you think about this? Then it's like, oh, okay. Like somebody that trusts me, that believes in me, that understands me, that I'm just not I'm not a system player. I am a system. You know what I mean? So somebody that can have that dialogue with me and understand and move forward and figure out and make adjustments on the fly throughout the course of games, that's all I really care about.
So that's what he said. I am not a system player. I am a system is what people are talking about right now. So, Chris, you're up first. You have any problems with him saying this?
I don't really even know what it means, to be honest with you.
He's
struggling to figure out exactly what it means.
Here's how I take it.
How do you take it, Skraby?
He's saying that the team should revolve around him.
I don't think he's saying that.
Isn't that what when he says I am the system? Isn't that what he's meaning?
I don't think he's saying that.
That's
I think
what he said.
No, what he followed up by saying was that he'd like to have some input into what happens out on the
And I
floor,
think that's
and
fine.
he thinks he's smart enough to be able to have that input. Having said that, I'm kind of over James Harden right now, and I don't think it's going to work too well with him and the Clippers. So
Take
we'll
that
see.
for data.
We'll see how it all turns out. But with too many cooks in the kitchen, I think it's going to be tough for the Clippers to make it all work with James Harden right now.
Tony?
That Chris just used the line.
Cooks
Too
in
many
the kitchen.
cooks in the kitchen, right? I mean, first of all, they have a really good head coach in Tyronn Lue. I think he's got a pretty good idea. He's won an NBA title.
He's coaching pretty big names.
He's got the other cooks that we're speaking of, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook. By the way, Russell clearly was okay with this move. He was approached by the Clippers during the offseason. Before this, he even re-signed. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. But to Chris's point, you can only take input from so many people, right? At some point, the coach has to coach. The players have to play. Now, I don't think Tyronn Lue won't, allow James Harden to, if he sees something, to go at it. I don't think Tyronn Lue will have a problem with that. But in terms of him being the system for this team, no.
Number 3.
Barry Bloom is a reporter we all know about here in town.
Boomski.
He's been on the baseball scene for quite some time, and his question last night after the game to Corey Seager is what is making headlines. So here is that exchange after the game.
Hey, Corey, I'm just going to ask you the question that I get texted most, and especially this whole series. Why did the Dodgers let you go?
Other questions? We'll go to Evan.
So he like Corey Seager's look is like, and then he looks at like the PR guy, and the PR guy's like, any questions?
Yeah.
But so I actually saw this morning, and I don't quite think it's that bad of a question. So I want you guys to convince me, Tony, why was this a bad question?
First of all, got a lot of love for Boomski. Barry Bloom is a well-known writer here in San Diego, New York, and that was his question. Why is it a bad question? Because he is not thinking about the Dodgers at this point. He hasn't played for the Dodgers now in 2 seasons, correct? I think this is his second year of his deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Corey Seager?
Yeah, or is this the first year?
I think it's the second.
Second, yeah. Second year of the deal.
That does change it for me.
I mean, like,
second year of his 10-year 3.
Even if it was his first year, right? He just won a title taking down the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers have come and gone at some point during the season. They played. This wasn't the time for that question. Maybe a regular season after you just finished playing the Dodgers, cool. But this, I understood why Corey was like, I don't know.
This is not my fault that we're just not going to finish the Big Five. We just don't have time. So, Chris, answer. Why was this a bad question?
I don't know. I don't want to finish the Big Five. I don't have time.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
It was bad timing. Tony said so. That's it.
That's
Bad
it.
timing. Okay.
We got 2 more questions, though.
No,
We got 2 good ones.
No, I'll put them tomorrow. What are we gonna do? All right, fine.
No,
We're gonna
fine.
hash this out during the break,
Fine.
and you'll see what we have for you on the other side. 97.3 The Fan.
5 to finish. As you can see, Chris and I won that battle. As we went to break, we will continue our Big 5. We also have some Aztec tickets to give away at the end of this segment, so stay tuned.
Yes, we're taking a day off from Chris versus the fans.
Thank you guys, honestly, because the questions are
giving everybody a break, including the man who writes the questions every day.
I sat in front of my computer this morning for 25 minutes and I came up with 2 questions. That was brutal.
That's rough.
It's
real
rough, I say.
Yeah. You guys don't know what I do for you on a daily basis. You guys just don't know what I do for you on a
We
daily
do too,
basis.
Scraby. We do. We think when we're not around you, we talk about how great you are all the time.
Your greatness
pretty much Tony and I.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Your greatness is elevated for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I
you
like
just got to
that.
not be in the room. That's the problem.
No, I get that part.
And
of
you're
it.
always in
I
the
get
room,
that part.
so it's hard to elevate you.
All right, so yes, we will skip the game today. We will get back to it tomorrow, and we will be giving away some Aztec tickets at the end of this segment. Do not call now. Do not call now.
Oh, that means people will call.
I know.
Somehow
inevitably.
people translate that in their mind to mean, oh, I better dial
I
right
better
now.
call. I better call. He said, "Don't call." I should call.
Yeah, I got to call.
Number 2.
All right, Chris. Actually, did you ever answer the Barry Bloom question?
No, I agreed with Tony. I mean, the timing was bad. It's an okay question, but Boomski, come on. I love Boomski, man. I've known Boomski since like you were born, Tony. So I used to work alongside of him covering stuff. So I love Barry, but that was not the great timing for that.
I once shattered Boomski's room window.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like a bone.
So
His
back
room window.
Back in the day, when spring training was in Peoria, or excuse me, was in
Yuma. Yeah.
Everybody, including the writers, stayed in like the same hotel. And so a few of the kids, we had to, if you guys remember rag balls.
Oh.
So we were out playing some baseball and I uncorked one and it hit the window. I got in trouble. Let's just say Mr. Gwynn was not very happy with me.
Oh, your dad wasn't. Barry Bloom. It's kind of weird to have to come down on a future Hall of Famer's son for something.
Yeah, I don't think he was spared having to do that.
Okay,
my
that's
dad
good.
took care of that. Pretty good.
Hey, that is pretty good because I would be very nervous talking to you about why my window's broken.
The other thing that hurt Boomski on that question was
the
just kind of the manner in which he asked it. It was like, I'm just going to come right out.
He said, what he said was, I'm going to come right out. I'm going to ask you the question that everybody asks me all the time.
Yes. Yeah,
he probably thought he thought it was like going to get some profound answer.
He missed
maybe
on that one.
And he asked Corey Seager after the game last night, "Why'd the Dodgers let you go?" So that's why we're talking about it.
And Corey Seager said, "Huh?"
He said he looked at the PR guy. PR guy said, "Next question." Anyone?
No,
he
said,
"Any other
he
question?"
said, "I don't know."
I think he barely said, "I don't."
And then the PR guy was like, "Don't say another word." Any other questions out there?
Yeah, I mean that's a hard ticket to get as a reporter in that press conference room after the win.
Number 2.
Several Colorado football players and staff members had jewelry, cash, and other valuables worth thousands of dollars stolen from their locker room at the Rose Bowl on Saturday. The alleged burglary happened during Colorado's 28-16 loss to UCLA, though they're not really sure exactly when this happened, but they're thinking it happened during the game. Coach Prime wants someone to reimburse the players for their losses, but doesn't know who is going to do it. He either says UCLA does it or the Rose Bowl does it. So, Chris, does Colorado deserve reimbursement?
In some situations, I'd say no, but since this is UCLA, absolutely, and let the money come straight out of Chip Kelly's wallet. I don't know. It doesn't sound like Colorado can prove that they really lost anything during the game from the locker room. That's what I'm struggling with here a little bit. I mean, did they lose it during the game or not?
Yeah, no,
how would they not know?
Yeah, where are the cameras? There's got to be cameras.
Have you been to the old granddaddy of them all?
Yeah, Rose Bowl. Yeah,
no cameras.
Yeah, they don't have any cameras there.
I mean, you could stick a camera on the wall and pay $100 for it.
So you're going to have them install the security system the day they arrive to the Rose Bowl?
They will now.
I bet you will.
I will say this, and then Skraby can agree with me, because I know he's going to.
I know he
when
is
you
too.
flaunt the money and the riches that you have, the way Colorado's players seem to flaunt it, there's part of me that understands why somebody might have gone in there and attempted to come away with some jewelry.
That is true.
I knew you would like that.
I mean, I don't necessarily like
But it doesn't. But it
it's the truth.
doesn't. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be, somehow reimbursed. I mean, you go out and play a football game, you expect there to be enough security in your locker room,
and it's like
to make sure nobody goes in there and steals stuff.
Absolutely. I figured
So-
they're just someone standing outside the locker room at all times, the security guard or something.
I would think so, but evidently not. Either that or the security guard himself went in there.
How do
Not
they
sure.
even know like what was stolen? Like, did they have an itemized list of certain things?
Dion said he's having.
But how do we know that they're? And I'm not
Why
accusing
would they
them.
lie?
I don't know.
Why would they lie, bro?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
I hope you know. You're bringing it up. Why would they make up something? They have played however many games and had nothing stolen, hadn't said a word. And they get to LA. But to Chris's point, you are going to Los Angeles, and you have flaunted what you have.
Yeah,
and that is a place that
somebody
if you stunt too much,
yeah,
someone's coming to get you.
I mean, you cannot have a gold chain stolen if you don't wear and flaunt a gold chain.
That's true.
Just tuck your chain. Nobody
Keep it
knows.
in mind. Tuck your
Take
chain.
it out.
Yeah.
You can't. And that's the thing, in these more up-to-date locker rooms, there's like a little lock box. You can kind of put your
I saw that in the
valuables in there.
Padres, they have
Yeah,
that.
they have that. I haven't been to the granddaddy of them all in
They
quite
don't
some
have
time.
that.
The visitor
I'm
locker rooms?
willing to bet they don't have those type of devices in their locker room.
So I'm just going to let Odyssey know I lost $100,000 necklace around here, and
good
I'm
luck.
going to claim
Good
that someone
luck.
stole it. Okay. All right.
Where'd you leave it?
I lost it in the back room.
The back room.
In the back room. Which back room?
The back room that we're always in, that everybody frequents. And
I'll be right back.
You gonna go put it back, Chris, or are you gonna go steal it?
Go steal it, because
All right.
nobody will ever believe that you had that.
That's true.
Big facts.
Okay. I didn't like that comment. I want to make this clear. I am not taking shots at Austin Hedges here. Not taking shots.
Sounds like some shots are about to be taken at Austin Hedges.
Not one bit.
This almost fits the whole criteria of hey, no disrespect, but
I'm about to disrespect you.
I am not disrespecting him. I want to get your opinion on this one thing. Austin Hedges played in 16 regular season games for the Rangers, and he had one at-bat in the World Series. He also did not appear in any other part of the playoffs. So, Tony, you're up first here. How many games do you need to play to feel yourself like you deserve a ring? Because Austin Hedges now has a ring. This is a Matt Skraby question.
crappy question.
This is not a crappy question.
Oh, how many games do you need to play in order to feel like you deserve the ring?
Okay, fine. I'll tell you why I came up with this question. I was watching last night. Austin Hedges, they get the third out. Austin Hedges is losing his mind.
Austin
excited.
is just getting under Skraby's skin for just enjoying himself.
I don't have any
It
problem with him
wasn't
enjoying
Austin
himself.
Hedges' fault necessarily that the camera seemed to show him every 5 minutes during the World Series.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't paying off the cameraman either to
It
show him.
seemed like he was on more than Taylor Swift.
So,
Really
Tony,
did.
would you feel good feeling like you contributed to a team only playing 16 games
Yes.
and one World Series
Let me
at
tell you why. All of the work that you put in before these games with these pitchers and just getting yourself ready for a game, yes, you 100% feel like you deserve, whatever, happened. When he got traded there or picked up there, I'm sure that was like the first thing he thought of.
Of
Like,
course.
I got a chance to win a ring here. And so I'm sure he acted accordingly. And yeah, he does deserve it. A lot of people won't understand that because they didn't see him on the field a lot. But I promise you, even Austin Hedges is putting in work before the game that allows him to feel good about what's happening on the field for his teammate.
All right, let me say he joins the team with 10. He only plays 7 games for the team.
Won't matter, Scrap.
16 games just doesn't seem like a lot is what I'm trying to say here. Chris,
But
what
he
do you
didn't
think?
play. He didn't play 7. He played 16. You try to shorten the number to make your
Played
case strong.
17.
My
with
fault.
one
more.
game in the playoffs. Chris?
Yeah, I just want to go back to what you said at the beginning of this.
What did I say?
Which was, this isn't meant to be a slam
It's
at
not.
Austin Hedges.
It's not. It was just the example.
Because I truly believe this was meant to be a slam at Austin
I
Hedges.
promise you it's not. I promise you it's not. I got
And the
nothing
reason I
against
think it
Austin
was is
Hedges.
because everyone in Twitter in America's finest city or here in the in the nearby vicinity is slamming Austin Hedges here.
Of course they are.
As if he did something wrong.
I never saw that.
What did he do wrong? He's on the Texas Rangers. They happened to win the MLB title. He's part of this club. I mean, look, clubhouse managers, they deserve a ring. Chefs, they deserve. Everybody involved in the organization should get a ring. Austin Hedges was actually putting a uniform on for the last 3 weeks of the season, contributing, as Tony said, behind the scenes in ways that you would not know. Warming up pitchers,
I get it.
working them out.
I do.
Anyway, so yeah, he
gets
a ring.
We gotta. The San Diego's got to shed that kind of that hater tag.
We hate everybody who wins a ring that's not here anymore.
Like we seem, we used to seem like the jilted lover. Now we just seem like a straight up hater sometimes.
See, I have no issues with Travis Jankowski because he had.
Wow. So what's the difference?
Didn't he have a much longer stay on the team?
He did. He was there all year.
Yeah, there you go.
So
there
he's
all
okay.
year.
He's okay.
Yeah.
So let's say Travis was there all year, didn't play one game. He was just there. How about the guys that are
no
hurt?
good?
The guys who are
I
on
was
the
just
IL.
thinking about that.
They don't deserve
Depends on when they went on the IL.
If they got hurt
But-
at the beginning of the season.
But I know when guys are hurt and they're out for the year, they do a lot of other stuff behind the scenes. And if they're there all year working, I have no issues with them getting a ring. But if you're playing 16 games,
I'll tell you like Craig Counsell told everybody in the locker room when they did shares for that 2008 Milwaukee team. If you contributed in any way to get us to this point, you deserve a share. I would say it's the same thing with a ring. If you did anything to contribute to them getting to where they got to, which is the championship, you deserve a ring.
Jerks and Profar had the Padres won the World Series this year. No ring for you.
did he play more than 16
Only
games?
14 games.
Sorry.
Oh, wow.
Can't have that.
You would have left Jerickson off, huh?
Scott
would've,
Barlow, you only pitched in 10. Get out of here.
Even though you contributed, can't get a ring.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Scott.
Not going to happen.
Sorry, Jerry.
You are something else, Gravy.
Today has been a weird day.
No, it's been a
we're going to give
normal
away
day.
the prize now. Did you say it's been a normal day?
For you.
Okay. Chris,
Yes?
take it away. Prize time.
I just wanted to look at one thing before I...
So I'll get you one more player.
I was going to get you one more player that deserved a ring that you wouldn't give one to. Joe Musgrove, 17 games this season. Sorry,
Joe.
No, that works.
Sorry.
17 games for a pitcher is a
17.
lot.
16 is the line of demarcation, apparently.
16 games for an everyday player is what, Chris?
So there's differences. So if you're a pitcher, it's a little less because
17 starts is a
He didn't
lot
say-
more than 16 games.
Yeah, touche. I'm just saying. I don't know that it's more, but okay. Sounds like one more.
Chance for you to win out there a pair of tickets to see the San Diego State Utah State football game. College football this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. You can grab your tickets now at goaztecs.com, or you can win a pair right now by dialing 833-288-0973 and answering the following, quote, easy, end of quotes, question. Today's question for the tickets: name the Utah State athlete who is currently a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I assume most of you know that. If you'd like to go see Utah State and San Diego State play on Saturday, now would be a heck of a time to call in with the answer. 833-288-0973. First person wins with the right answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. There you
All
go.
right.
You got to give me credit for coming up with
No, it's
some
good.
sort of Utah State trivia.
That is pretty good.
That's
we
about
talked
the
about
best I can do.
him yesterday.
I think a lot of people know this one. So
All right.
dial in and win.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Let's get to break. More Gwynn and Chris on the way. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Guys, we're not seeing much relief on our roads this afternoon.
Yeah.
What say you for your 3-point game?
Give me Cleveland.
Cleveland over Arizona?
Yeah.
That was the other
I like
one.
that one.
I don't hate that one. I'm just worried that Kyler Murray is going to somehow surface between now and Sunday and maybe give Arizona a chance to win.
Could he play?
I don't think so at the moment, but can't they activate him? I'm not sure.
No, I'm changing.
I don't know
mine,
all
Zach.
the rules. You're going to change it?
Yeah, give me Baltimore.
You're going to do Baltimore instead and leave me with Cleveland.
Yeah, you can have Cleveland.
Thanks. I'm not
Thanks.
pleased. All right, so Baltimore's your 3-point pick. I now have Cleveland.
If you want it.
Yeah, I don't have to take them. There's nobody else that's even a 5-point favorite. There's 3 games where there's more than a 5-point favorite, and those are the 3.
Did you hear the news that the Browns front office is kind of regretting their decision to give Deshaun Watson almost $300 million guaranteed?
You think they might be regretting that at this point?
Seriously.
All right, I'll stick with Cleveland. I'll just leave it for you for the 2-point pick because this could be a tough pick one way or the other for you.
It is.
Who do you like here for 2 points?
2 points.
2-point game. Everything else is a really close. If you're looking at the spreads this week, you'll see it. There's no real big spreads anywhere.
I'll take ATL, shorty.
Yeah, Atlanta?
Yes.
Over Minnesota.
Chris is like,
I wasn't sure who that was. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was pretty sure it was Atlanta, but I wasn't 100%
That
sure.
was slightly not my language as well, Chris.
I don't have a lot of faith in the Dolphins against the Chiefs, but I can't pick against them. I will take the Eagles over the Cowboys for 1 point at home.
That was a good one.
Not really a Dallas guy yet, although they can play a great game. We'll see. I'll take the Eagles there. 1 point for you.
Side note, while Tony's thinking, I got a text from my fantasy baseball group. One of them said, for the first time, I agree with Ello. Hedges was on screen more than Taylor Swift.
Yeah, thank you for the first time. That was actually a dig at me.
No, I know.
That was not a compliment. That was a dig, and I took it as such.
No, you're saying you were right.
He got it. He tried to sneak that one by.
Yeah,
him there.
for the first time ever, I agree with him. Yeah, I got it.
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. That's how you get digs.
Hey, Chris, shake it off.
Oh, that's a
Hardy
good
har.
one. Boom, boom.
Hardy har.
1 point. I'll go Houston.
Houston over whoever they're
Tampa.
playing. Tampa Bay. All right. Now the upset pick. I'm going Vikings for 4 points. Back up. They're at Atlanta. It's backup quarterbacks.
Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs. No, the other
he's
guy's
not gonna play.
starting.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
the other guy's starting, and I don't know his name, but Atlanta's got a backup quarterback going as well. So I'll take the Vikings in an upset for 4 points. Tony, how about you?
Give me the New York Jets.
Oh, good one. Monday night against the Chargers.
The Chargers.
That'd be worth 3 points. Jets are underdog at home, which I was a little surprised by because the Chargers really aren't that great, but they're our favorite. So Tony's got a chance to get 3 points if the Jets win. That's how the picks go for this week. We're normally pretty good, so we'll see how it turns out next week. But Tony, you got the lead. You've had the lead all season. Currently 60-48. Coming up next, it's Pittsburgh and touchdown Titans.
Oh, hold on.
I like that guy.
Where is it?
I actually like that guy. He's one of my few guys I like when he says
Here's
that.
one of them from
That's exactly what we needed.
Is that him
That's
too?
exactly what we needed.
That's like the other guy. Where did I put the? Oh, here.
Touchdown!
No, that's the Bills guy.
No,
Oh,
that's the
here it
Bills
is.
guy.
Here it is.
God!
There it
That's
is.
your
That's
Titan
it
guy.
right there.
Yeah. All right. Enjoy the game. We'll be back tomorrow with a full 4-hour program at 2:00. Look for you then on YouTube and or on the radio. For Tony Gwynn Jr., the Poway High School Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Or soon to be officially. And Matt Skraby, who's in nobody's Hall of Fame. I'm Chris Ello.
Nice.
Have a great rest of your November 2nd. Bye-bye.
Chris Stapleton's All-American Roadshow. Saturday, March 2nd at Petco Park. With special guests, Turnpike Troubadours.